You will hear a conversation between an international student and the accommodation department. You have 30 seconds to look at questions 1 to 3.
Hello, accommodation department. How can I help you?
Do you look after accommodation for international students?
Yes, we look after accommodation for all the students.
Good. I hope you can help me then. I've only just been accepted onto a postgraduate course, and I want to know if there is any accommodation available from this September. I know it's very short notice.
Yes, it is rather late, but I'm sure we'll be able to find you something. First of all, can you give me your name and student number so that I can find you on the system?
Sure. My name is Maria Teresa Gonzalez.
Maria Teresa Gonzalez. How do you spell that?
Gonzalez.
Thank you. Got it. And your student number, please?
SHU 300715PG.
SHU 300715PG. Ah, here you are. Department of Modern Languages.
Yes, that's me.
You now have 30 seconds to look at questions 4 to 10.
Okay, now there are several options for postgraduate students. Firstly, there is the Trigon. This is a new block near to the station and not far from the main campus. Accommodation is what we call cluster accommodation.
What does that mean?
There's a small group of rooms, usually 6, each with its own bathroom clustered around a lounge kitchen area which is shared.
Oh, I see. That sounds good.
They are very popular. The price for these is £99 per week, and we do have some availability left. However, for postgraduate students, there are other options.
And what are they?
There's another apartment block called The Cube, located near the west gate of the campus. Accommodation there is in 1 or 2 bedroom self-contained flats.
So, the cube is self-contained? How does that work?
Well, basically, they're just like ordinary apartments. Each apartment has 1 or 2 study bedrooms with ensuite bathroom, a lounge and a kitchen.
And what is the price of those?
For the 1 bedroom, it is £180 per week, and for the 2 bedroom, it is £110 per week for each person.
And can I choose who I share with?
If you have a friend and you would like to share with them, of course, we can reserve a 2-bedroom apartment for you both. Otherwise, you just have to share with whoever else is there. Obviously, it will be another woman.
I will have to think about this. Do I have to make a decision now?
No, but we don't have much accommodation left, so I can't guarantee that there will still be availability if you leave it too long.
Yes, that's fair. I have a friend in the management department who might like to share. I will speak with her and get back to you this afternoon.
Okay, fine. Do let us know as soon as you can.
I will do. Thanks for all your help.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 2. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I tell you a little bit about the history of the museum, let's make sure you can find your way around. There are 3 floors to the museum, and we have a lot of very interesting things for you to see. You are now standing in the hall after entering through the main entrance. I know you are all particularly interested in Australian art, and you'll find examples of this if you go up the steps in front of you and go through the door immediately on your left. There are also other displays of Australian and Native American objects on the 2nd floor. You'll find the lift in the corner of the room off the Australian Art Gallery. You may find it useful to go into the bookshop before you begin the tour of the museum. It's here, as you can see, straight ahead of you up the main steps. The cloakroom and toilets are both in the basement. You can take the stairs next to the main entrance or use the lift. If you'd like to become a member of the museum, you can apply at the museum office. Membership is £30 a year, and this entitles you to free entry. The museum office is on this floor, up the steps and to your right. And opposite the museum office, also on your right, is the Egyptian room. There you'll find a selection of mummies and wall paintings, some over 3,000 years old. At present, I'm sorry to tell you there are 2 galleries which are closed. The first one, to your right between the main steps and the steps to the basement, is our Greek Sculpture Gallery. The other one, the African Paintings Gallery, is on the 1st floor and is undergoing decoration. Both will be reopening in March. Now, if you'd like to follow me up the main steps.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
One of the most impressive structures of southern Africa is Great Zimbabwe, a ruined city surrounded by a massive stone wall reaching a height of 10 metres. This wall and the stone buildings within the city have survived, but unfortunately not the houses of the majority of people, which were of mud. Great Zimbabwe was part of a state which covered much of the interior of Southeast Africa and may well have been the capital. There's disagreement over the precise meaning of the name Zimbabwe. One interpretation is houses of rock, as this material was used for the most important buildings. Because of the historical significance of the Great Zimbabwe site, the name was adopted by the present country on independence in 1980. Not very much is known about the people who constructed Great Zimbabwe, as they had no written language and their oral traditions haven't survived. They were probably Shona-speaking people who moved into the area around the 6th century and began building the stone walls, using granite quarried from nearby hills, in the 12th. The walls were followed by the stone structures within them. One of these, the Great Enclosure, is likely to have been a royal residence, and it's the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara. It's unclear why that particular site was chosen for Great Zimbabwe. Although the grasslands of the area were ideal for cattle grazing, the soil may not have supported agriculture to the extent required to feed so many people. Grain and other staples may have had to be brought in from elsewhere. It used to be thought that the site was chosen for the city because of the gold found in the district, but it now seems that this wasn't exploited until a century after Great Zimbabwe was founded. At least for part of the time that the city existed, its wealth seems to have come from its role as a trading centre. Ivory and later gold were traded through East African ports for cloth and other goods from Arabia and further east. This was probably the main source of Great Zimbabwe's power and wealth. By the middle of the 15th century, however, the city was in decline. Trade had moved further north. Local resources had apparently been overused, and salt was scarce. Possibly for these reasons, although we may never know for certain, Great Zimbabwe was abandoned by about 1600. At the height of its prosperity, the city was probably home to 18,000 people, perhaps more. But now it simply consists of ruins.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3.
You will hear a conversation between a university counsellor and two students, Joseph and Cara.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi Joseph, how are you today?
Fine, thanks.
And Cara, how are you?
Good.
As we discussed on the phone earlier, I wanted to speak with both of you about the subjects you have chosen to study and how you are managing your time. Okay?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, so I'll start with Cara. You've been here for how many months now?
I've been here for 6 months.
How are you finding it?
It's good. I'm enjoying the course.
And what about life outside? Are you making friends and socialising?
Not really. People here are quite closed. They don't talk to you.
I see. So, what do you do after classes?
I usually go home and study, and I might go out for a walk, but never really with anyone. Sometimes my roommate Louisa comes with me, but she always seems to be busy.
How is this affecting your schoolwork?
I don't think it is, but I miss home.
Cara, what I suggest for now is that you look into joining one of the social clubs on campus. There are a variety of them. You can go camping, skiing, snorkeling, painting, dancing, reading, horse riding, rowing. There's a list on the school website. Have a look and work out which one you're interested in and which suits your timetable. You'll meet friends that way and people who have the same career interests as you. As for the subjects you've chosen for a career in microbiology, I think you should look into dropping one of your subjects and picking it up again next year as a minor. You have a lot on your plate, and this will just cause great pressure. It doesn't mean that you aren't coping, but you're doing about 10 hours more than the average student a week. Think about it, and we can make another appointment to discuss it. When are you free?
I have an hour free usually on Wednesdays at 11:30.
OK, good. Come to my office at 11:45 and wait in reception. OK?
OK, I'll see you then.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Joseph, how are you finding the university?
I love it. It's very different from home. Life here is very much focused on study and also socializing through sport. People have been very friendly and curious about my culture.
So, you've managed to integrate well?
I think so. I've joined the rugby team, something I'd never thought I'd be interested in.
And how are your studies going?
I think I am doing well. I have a few assignments that need some work, but overall, I'm coping.
That's good. I'm happy that you're enjoying the university, but remember, don't let your schoolwork get too far behind, because it will pile up, and before you know it, you will be late handing in work. You know that there's a penalty for handing in work late?
No, I didn't.
You would have been told at the start of the course, during orientation.
I don't remember.
You need to remember these things. They are very important. You might be an excellent student, but if you consistently hand in work late, you'll be penalised and you might end up losing your degree over it. That's a lot of years of work, OK?
Yes, I'll remember that.
And also remember that you have to attend 90% of your classes. So far, you have missed 5 tutorials. Be careful here. These could also cost you your degree. Is there any particular reason you missed these classes?
I'd been training for our rugby match the night before and, well, we went out afterwards and I slept past my alarm clock.
Joseph, I know this culture must be very different from where you come from, but please try and be a little more conservative with your time. I think maybe you should spend more time on your studies and less time on socialising. The subjects you've chosen are intensive. I want you to spend 3 hours a night studying before you decide to do anything else. I'll make an appointment to see you in a month and we can assess your progress. I'll give you my business card. All my contact details are there. Call me in 3 weeks to organise another meeting. Do you have any questions for me?
No, none.
OK, I'll see you in a month.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 4.
In this section, you'll hear 2 students discussing a survey they have to write as an assignment.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Well, How is your market research project going, George?
Very well, actually, Anna. I've just got the results of the survey back, and so now I have to draw some conclusions from the information I've collected.
That's good. I'm still writing my questionnaire. In fact, I'm starting to panic, as the project deadline is in 2 weeks, and I don't seem to be making any progress at all.
What is your topic?
Forms of transportation in the city. What about you?
I've been finding out people's attitudes to the amount of violence on television.
That's interesting. What do your results show?
Well, as I said, I haven't finished writing my conclusions yet, but it seems most people think there is a problem. Unfortunately, there is no real agreement on the action that needs to be taken. Nearly everyone surveyed said that there was too much violence on TV. A lot of people complained that American police serials and Chinese kung fu films are particularly violent. The main objection seems to be that although a lot of people get shot, stabbed, decapitated and so on, films never show the consequences of this violence. Although people die and get horribly injured, nobody seems to suffer or live with the injuries. Any children watching might take the heroes of these programs as role models and copy their behaviour.
So, what did most people suggest should be done?
A lot of people were concerned about how these films affect children. They are particularly worried that children will try to behave like the stars. The survey shows that violent programs should be broadcast after 10 p.m, when most children are already in bed. There is also a significant minority of people who feel that violent films should be banned altogether.
Or how did people feel about the violence on news broadcasts?
Most of the responses I have looked at have felt that violence on news broadcasts is more acceptable, as it's real. Although it's unpleasant, it is important to keep in touch with reality. Still, many people thought that it would be better to restrict violent scenes to late viewing.
Your survey sounds very good. How many people filled it in?
I gave out 120 and I got 70 back.
That's a very high rate of return. Who did you give your questionnaires to?
I gave a copy to every student in my hall of residence and a few to friends from other colleges.
Don't you think that this will influence your results?
How do you mean?
The people in your hall of residence are all about the same age. They're all students and from similar backgrounds. Therefore, it is likely that they will have similar opinions. Your results represent student opinion, not public opinion.
So how are you going to do your research?
Well, I'm going to interview my respondents in the shopping mall. What I'll do is ask people if they have 5 minutes to spare to answer a few questions. If they agree, I will ask them some multiple-choice questions and tick off their answers on my sheet.
Isn't it very difficult to ask meaningful questions using multiple choice?
Yes, it is. The secret to writing a successful survey is to write simple multiple-choice questions that target the information you're looking for. There, it's better to write a lot of short, specific questions than longer general ones.
So that's why it is taking you so long to write?
Yeah, but I hope I'll be ready to start interviewing at the weekend.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.